Hello, my name is Jason JROCK Houston, and this is Chaotic Riffs Magazine. We can be found on the web at www.chaoticriffs.com. Tonight we're speaking with our special guest, Jim Crean, who many of you know from Carmine Appice's Drum Wars. We're talking specifically tonight with Jim for our In Review segment about his great new album, Insatiable. How you doing tonight, Jim?
Good.
And Jim, like I explained to you, part of the reason I'm talking tonight is I really enjoyed your latest CD, Insatiable, that you sent me. And the thing is, up until just this year, I was writing CD reviews for our website, and people don't really weren't really reading the website. So I thought it'd be cool if we get a chance now to talk to the artists about their albums and talk about some of the tracks specifically to better promote the new music that's out there these days. So, like I said, I really enjoyed Insatiable. So, first off the bat, you got a great intro to the album where you have Don Jamieson from That Metal Show kind of introduce the album. Talk a little bit about how you know Don and about getting him to appear on the album.
Well, Don has a phenomenal, comedy show that he does.
Mm-hmm.
Besides, obviously he has the hosting of That Metal Show, which is probably the best show that was ever on TV. As we both know.
Yeah.
But Don has a great comedy act that he does as well. He does it with Jim and Eddie as well, but he also does solo. So they did a bunch of shows with us. He did a bunch of shows with us. And I just became friends with Don. And, I told him I was in the process of making my new record. And, Don knew of me from the Appice Drum Wars band as well. So he could come out to support that. So I just asked him, about doing the liner notes for the record, and we got to talking, and then I kind of thought it would be a better idea to have him just maybe do a cool intro.
Yeah, and I think he's a great choice to open up the album for not only the fact that you guys are friends and you've worked with each other, but Don Jamieson, very much like his partner Jim Florentine. One thing I enjoy about those guys is their ability to combine their love for comedy, which is what they're known for, and their love of metal. When I think of those two guys, probably the closest person I think of that came before them was Sam Kinison. He was known as a rock and roll comedian. Yeah. So I think it's great to have Don on that. And like you said, it's kind of interesting that That Metal Show, which he's known for hosting with Eddie and Jim, on VH1, that was one of the only original shows they had. And it's amazing, the story, because they got such great ratings, but it was such an expensive show to produce that because of how much money it took to produce the show, that it got canceled. And it kind of amazes me. It's one of those things where another time where it really does come down to money, and great ratings or not, the show's been canceled.
Yeah, it's a shame, because that's the only reason I actually ever turned on VH1.
Yeah.
When that show was on, and I really thought that it was kind of cool that they had a lot of classic artists on there, who still put out new music,
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that a lot of these classic great bands from the past are still out there, touring and putting out records and whatnot, and so it's one of those situations where it was great for that avenue. It's a shame that it's not on right now, but hopefully they'll get back on the air. So.
Yeah, and now track 2, or I guess really the track that opens up the album, is the title track, Insatiable, which I gotta tell you, Jim, it's really, to me, one of the most standout tracks on the album, for the simple fact that you hear the track. It's just a great kind of rockin' tune. It's a great way to open up the album. It reminds me like of the great rock tunes, that I grew up on, like from the 70s and the 80s. And before we really get into the the track itself, I wanted to ask you, because you also you're known for the Drum Wars things, for being the lead singer in that band with the Appice Brothers. You also have your other band, Hair Nation, which is a great cover band. So I was curious, what's it like to finally, because a lot of guys get their start doing the cover thing, but it's got to be a great feeling with this album that you're finally getting a chance to get some of your original music out there, and become known for more than just a guy in a cover band. You know what I mean?
I do. I definitely agree with you on that. I have 4 other, original solo albums out before this, but to get into the mainstream, it was great that I became part of the Appice Drum Wars, because that kind of springboarded me into into a bigger avenue to get my music heard. And I've been in Hair Nation for 16 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's doing the covers like that. It's great. I love doing covers. It's a great way to make a living. However, I write a lot of songs. I write songs every day, and so it's a great feeling to finally know that the new album's going to be on major distributions on a major label. I have a lot of support from the record company behind me. I have a lot of great players on it. So hopefully, a lot of people will get to hear this, the record.
Yeah, and now let me ask you, because it's a great story, the fact that you've been with this band Hair Nation for 16 years. Again, a lot of guys in your position, after 16 years of being in a cover band, you get this chance, to get signed to Carmine Appice's Rocker Records, which we'll get into later, and get this album out there. A lot of guys in your position might say, okay, this is my chance for a big time. But I really dig the fact that that you're doing this in addition to Hair Nation as well. That you haven't kind of decide, okay, I'm going to leave Hair Nation and go solo full time. I love the fact that you've got it in you to do both.
Yeah, I mean, it's projects, right? So
yeah.
You got to keep working. You got to keep playing. So Hair Nation is a project, that we steadily play up and down the East Coast. We work pretty hard with that band. For a while there we were playing 4 nights a week. Now it's down to just weekends.
Wow.
And they're just playing weekends. But we play some cool events, and we open up for a lot of big national bands, and whom are my friends.
Yeah.
And peers in the at that level. And then of course I get to tour across the country. Actually going to be doing some world touring. We're actually talking about doing some shows in Australia and throughout Europe. So with the Appice Drum Wars. So it's kind of cool. I get the best of both worlds with that. And then with my original music, I can kind of tie that into both. I can actually sell my CDs and that kind of stuff.
Now, yeah. And now let me ask you, in regards to Hair Nation, was that a band 16 years ago that you formed, Jim, or were they an existing project that you joined?
I formed the band. The band was formed, and when I first formed it, it was called Metalworks.
Oh, okay.
The band was called Metalworks, and then we made the name change. I don't know, maybe about 8 years ago.
Yeah.
8-9 years ago, we made the name change because Metalworks is something so heavy metal.
Yeah. And you guys actually, the funny thing about it is, you guys actually predated like Steel Panther, and I bring that up for the simple fact that they're so huge now, but up until that, and you're probably, in addition to Steel Panther, probably the biggest cover band out there. I mean, there are other guys doing what you guys do, but I got to ask you, when you formed Hair Nation, I think it's a pretty cool idea that you decide to go a route of a cover band rather than maybe a tribute band like a lot of people where they just focus on one artist's music. Talk a little bit about the decision there.
Well, it's actually good insight there. Actually, Steel Panther was also called Metal Shop before that.
Yeah.
They were around about the same time, so to give them proper due,
there you
they
go.
were around for a long time. They were called Metal Shop when we were called Metalworks. So
okay.
kind of same type of thing, but yeah, same concept. When I put this thing together 16 years ago, what happened was the music scene was kind of just coming back, back from the ashes of grunge music, because grunge wiped out all that hair metal, got destroyed by grunge, obviously.
Yeah.
So it just wasn't cool to be playing, dressing up and playing songs like that and having hair,
Yeah.
and not flannels and just being depressed all the time. So we decided that when I put together Hair Nation 16 years ago, the scene was just craving something like that. A lot of people were going through their divorces. A lot of people were going, through midlife crisis. So they were getting back out in the scene, and they wanted to relive their childhoods, right?
Yeah.
With the fun part of their life. So I put this band together, and basically it's like a walking jukebox. We do all the hits of the 80s, and it just took on. I mean, it took on. For a while there, we were playing 4 or 5 nights a week. I was turning more work down than I could play.
And that's always a good thing. And the point I was making about Hair Nation is I think as an artist and the guy up there singing the tunes, it's got to be pretty fun that you don't necessarily have to play the same 10 or 12 tunes. I mean, the fact that you're a cover band, you can decide, okay, tonight we're going to do a Bon Jovi tune, we're going to throw in a Kiss tune or whatever. There's no set of tunes that you necessarily have to play. It's got to be a little more liberating, and that you can pick from a number of artists than just one. If you were just a Kiss tribute, for example.
Well, yeah, and then that actually at that time, a lot of tribute, bands were coming out that just, tribute one artist.
Mm-hmm.
So those bands were coming out a lot. So that's when I said, let's try doing all the artists. And what's cool about one thing that sets Hair Nation apart from a lot of, now there's a million tribute bands.
Yeah.
There's so many hair bands, there's like 20 in every town. But, and they're all just, it's just such a generic thing. But at that time when I first was doing it, I thought to myself, well, I could do this one of two ways. I could just go out and try and sound like exactly like each artist that you're performing, or sound original. So that's what I did. I pretty much do all these covers, but I try and just sound like me doing them.
Yeah.
And I think that's the luster of the whole thing.
So. And I think that's why you've been able to be successful with what you do. Because I got to share with people, Jim. Just last week, I also interviewed you for a special we're doing called Destroyer 40, which is talking about the fact that it's 40th anniversary since Kiss released their classic 76 album Destroyer. And talking to you during that interview, it became quite clear to me, what a huge Kiss fan you are. And the reason I bring that up now is because since I've been following you, since you first started with the Drum Wars things a couple years ago, and I've been following you through your last couple solo CDs. One thing is really, it was really quite obvious that you must be a Kiss fan for the simple fact that, like, if I just look at your photos, you look like a rock star. And like I said, the opening track, the title track, and Insatiable, it is so over the top. Even like we were talking last week about your album cover, it reminded me a little bit of a Destroyer album. It's almost like a real iconic cover, like from the 70s or 80s. And you were mentioning to me, well, it's funny I said that because you said, you wanted to have like an album cover look like a painting, something like back in the what Kiss would do, or a band like Kansas. And so talk a little bit about the track Insatiable, because again, I think it's just a great rocking way to start out the album. It's so over the top, and it's a great way to introduce people to Jim Crean, or even just your latest solo album.
Yeah, I mean that song. It's funny because when I signed the deal for the record deal, the album in my mind was going to be called Insatiable. I didn't have the song written. I just knew that was a cool title.
Yeah.
I just thought it'd be cool. So that was going to be the title of the album, no matter what. So we did a tour. I was flying home. I was actually on a plane, and it was a flight from Los Angeles. So I was flying home, and just sitting there, and I started coming up with the riff in my head, And I said, when I get home, I'm gonna put that down, So I have a little studio in my house, so I came home and I laid down all the music to it, and I thought it was really cool riff, and I went, wow, this is kind of a cool tune, And a good friend of mine, Robbie Lochner, who plays in Jack Russell's Great White, he also played with Rob Halford in that band Fight.
Yeah.
Great guitar player, phenomenal guitar player. So I called him. I said, hey, look, I got a great song here, perfect song for you. Would you mind laying down a solo for it? So I sent him the track, and he just destroyed it. I mean, he was amazing on it. So that one came out really good. And of course, I got Vinny Appice, who played drums on it. Vinny played on most of the record, but he played drums on it and really put a cool spin to it. And I thought that would tie in really well with the intro. So it's a great opening track, So
yeah. Kudos to you there. And I got to say, like Robbie Lochner, I mean, if he had been around like back in the 80s, I think he would have been one of those Guitar Hero type guys, almost like Warren DeMartini. And it's great that he's great that he's gotten to play with Jack Russell and Rob Halford. But it's great to have a guy like that on the album, because I think he's really deserving of a little more attention these days.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, this album was written in 1985.
Wow.
This thing would have gold in a week, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that kind of album. It's got all power anthem songs on it. It's got all memorable. I mean, everybody I've played this thing for so far, so I'm hooked on it, I just couldn't imagine if this came out in like 1985. And the players that are on it are all top of the line players. So yeah, Robbie would have been a huge star right now if he was around back in the mid '80s.
Yeah, and it makes sense that that Vinny would be your drummer of choice, being that you've played with him over the last few years and you've become quite good friends with him and stuff. But Is that kind of like a comfort thing too? The fact that you have a guy play the majority of the drums on this album, but you don't really have to worry about what he's going to do because it's Vinny Appice. Or Vinny Appice. He's gonna. You can count on him to do what he needs to do.
Well, you said it best. I mean, me and him, we became very good friends over the past 4 or 5 years that I've been playing with them, and we've done so many shows together. So it's just he knows my style, he knows my singing, he knows exactly what I'm looking for. So yeah, there was no worry at all. As a matter of fact, when I sent him the songs, I said, "Hey, have a go, put whatever you want on it," and so he put some phenomenal licks on there. Actually, he just did an interview, and he brought up this record, and they were interviewing him about all his great projects that he's in.
Yeah.
He was quick to jump and say, "Well, I'm on my singer from Drum Wars, his album too," and he goes, "I'm not just saying it because I'm on it."
Yeah.
Basically, he goes, "There's some really good songs on there." He goes, "I think everybody's gonna really dig it." So that was kind of cool, So
yeah.
Played on it so far feels the same way.
Well, that's great to hear. Now, track 3, "Caught in the Middle," a great track in itself, Jim. And as I explained to you previously, as a huge of a Ronnie James Dio fan as I am, this is one track that really kind of somehow got past me. And I think for that reason alone, it's great that you decided to cover this tune rather than say like, Neon Nights, Holy Diver, or Rainbow in the Dark, or one of these better-known Dio tracks. So, talk a little bit about your decision to cover that.
Well, again, we're in Las Vegas, and we were doing a show in Las Vegas, and I said to Vin, I go, well, it would be kind of cool to. How did that work? Actually, he said to me, he goes, "Hey, I got an idea. So we were looking for one more track for the record, and I said, I got a couple more tracks I got to send you. And then he goes, well, I got an idea. Why don't you do a Ronnie song? Because he knows I'm a big Ronnie fan.
Yeah.
He goes, and you do, you sing Ronnie well, so why don't you do a Ronnie song? And I thought, oh man, that would be great. I mean, Ronnie's the best. In my opinion, Ronnie was the best ever.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
So I said, well, it has to be something that no one really knows, but the diehard Ronnie fans would know, and we'll put our own spin to it. So "Caught in the Middle" has been always one of my favorite albums off the Holy Diver album, and a lot of people don't know because there were so many great songs on that album that song kind of got overlooked. And plus, one cool thing is, Vinny goes, "Perfect, that's the song." He goes, we never really played that one live.
Wow.
We never did that one. So he goes, "That's perfect. That's a great one." And he goes, and Ronnie always loved that song, but we just never did it live. And I said, great. And then he goes, well, I could probably get Jimmy Bain. I can get Jimmy to play on it.
Wow.
Before we went to LA, to Vegas, we were in LA. We did some shows in LA. So when we were in LA, Jimmy Bain came down to our rehearsal and was hanging out with us. Just hanging out. It was really cool.
Yeah.
And Jimmy was such a sweet guy, just a great guy. And he called up Jimmy and said, "You want to play on the record?" And Jimmy's like, "Yeah." So that fell all together that easy. So we were fortunate enough to get Jimmy Bain to play on it. And then after we did the show, one of my favorite singers is Frank Domino as well, from Angel.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, I loved him throughout the 70s, And he was at our show, and then I called him up, and he ended up doing a bunch of songs with us on stage that same night. After the show, I said, "Hey, I got a weird question for you, but I'm doing a new record." And I go, "We're going to be doing kind of a remake of the Dio song, "Caught in the Middle." And I know he's a big Ronnie fan, too.
Yeah.
And he goes, "I'm in." So before I could get the words out, he was like, "I'm in." So, we decided to do it like a duet style, and I think it just came out really cool. So.
And then track 4, "Touch." That's another one of my favorite tunes on the album. Talk a little bit about that, because that's an original tune, right, that you wrote?
Yep, I wrote it. It's just a song I always had that riff kicking around. I like that riff, and I just wanted to make that more of an AOR type, song, big arena song, and I think we accomplished that. Again, it has Vinny on it.
And then you got a guy, Steve Majors, that plays guitar now. I know you've worked with him for a while. How did you first hook up with him?
Steve's great. He's, in my opinion, one of the best producers ever. He's so underrated. He just knows exactly how to get that sound. I trust him with everything. Anything I can give him, I know I don't have to worry. It just comes out perfect, And I've been working with Steve for, about 15 years. He did my second album, my second solo album. He produced that, and he's done all my stuff since then.
And so, like, I was just curious, like, in regards to Insatiable, like, because I know you're also a guitar player, Jim. Do you play any guitar on the album, or do you primarily just the lead singer?
Just a singer on this. I mean, I'm just a good rhythm player, you know. But Steve's such a phenomenal guitar player that I had him do all of it. And you know, the leads, I would get all my guitar buddies to do all that stuff. So I wrote all the songs, but he played all guitar on it. Yeah,
I love the fact that you get a guy like Steve for a simple fact. He's another one of those guys where people might have heard his name before, because I think he's even like worked with Peter Criss and Mark St. John and some stuff when they were writing together. So he's more known as a producer, but it's great that he's one of these musicians that he's kind of multi-talented. He can play guitar, he can produce, or do whatever you need him to do.
Steve can play every instrument. He can play drums, he can play keyboards. He's a phenomenal keyboard piano player, great guitar player. You know, he just knows he's very musically inclined. He knows music. He knows he knows where the proper notes should fall. He knows he just really knows music. He's a virtuoso, really, when it comes to knowing how politically correct music can go. He knows how to do that. And so, he's been a musician all his whole life, but he also started producing, about 30 years ago. And like you said, he worked with Peter Criss. I mean, he worked with Mark St. John. He worked with some big names. He did that My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he did the score on that. He worked on that movie. So I mean, he's been doing stuff for years. He's great. I trust him completely with my project. So. And
I think I got to tell people with this Insatiable album, I think it's really the perfect balance of like what you're known for, Jim. And what I love about the album is, you could have gone one of two ways. You could have had an album like full of just, or even just half of cover tunes. But I love the fact that it's got mostly great original songs by you. You got a couple great cover tunes on here as well. But even the cover tunes seem to fit your vocal style and fit what you do. I mean, like we were saying with the Dio track, Caught in the Middle. Like you're saying, Vinny was telling you that it's a track Dio never performed live. It's a track that a lot of Dio fans, including myself, have never heard before. So if for no other reason to do it, it's a great reason to kind of reintroduce people. Hey, this is a lost great Dio track that many of you maybe not heard. And I love the fact that you choose a Dio track. Cause I mean, you got some heavy. You can hit those heavy notes just as much as Ronnie. And then talking about another cover, you also covered the Kiss classic "Magic Touch," which is a little more of a softer tune. But I love the fact that you can you can reach those high notes and then you can do everything in between.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean. That's kind of what I was shooting for. Again, back to what I was saying, when I do the covers, I try and make them my own. I try and make them sound like me doing it. Cover song, And I always thought that was kind of cool, because people only remember the good cover versions if it's kind of remade, right?
Yeah. And see, the thing, like I can tell you as a fan myself, like I said, I'm a huge Ronnie Dio fan, but that's one track that kind of got past me. And the fact that I'm hearing, the song "Caught in the Middle" for the first time on your album. I'm going to now go and check out the Ronnie Dio version, and that's the great thing about covering a tune like that. It'll get people to go back and give original maybe a fair listen that it didn't get before.
Agreed. I mean, that's what's great about that is, it's such a great song that got buried, and and I hate to see songs like that just get shelved. And I think hopefully we can bring that one back to life, and people will really enjoy it.
Yeah, and then another great cover you got on the album, of course, is the next track, "Over the Edge," which many people know it was originally an LA Guns tune off their third album, Hollywood Vampires. Great. I always loved the original version they had in the Point Break soundtrack at the time, back in 1991. Talk a little bit about your decision to cover this one, and what it was like recording with Phil Lewis.
Well, Phil's a good friend of mine. I've known Phil for years, and we've done numerous tours with him. I opened my Hair Nation band has toured with them for years. Usually when they come up to the East Coast, we do a whole swing with them. So me and Steve and Phil became really good friends. And of course, Michael and Kenny as well. Mm-hmm. But so Phil and I became really good friends, and when I got the record deal through Carmine, me and Phil were just talking, and I said, "Well, I'm doing a new record, so if you want to, guest vocal on there, it would be great. Just maybe some harmonies or whatever. And he just, absolutely. He goes, I'd love to. So, closer it got to recording the record, I decided, it would be cool to do an LA Gun song. Over the Edge is such a great song. I always thought that would be really cool. So they still play it live, so it's cool. It's still out there.
Yeah.
But it's just such a great song that I thought, that'd be a cool one to do, kind of with me and Phil on there. So, I called Phil, and he was like, that's a great idea. He goes, you have my blessings. He goes, I'd love to do it. And so I got him to do the vocal harmonies and the choruses. It came out really cool.
And I got to ask you, now that you've actually got the recording of Over the Edge down, and you kind of got to do this duet thing with him going, any chance, if you guys ever do any shows together, you might call him up on stage and kind of do it live?
We did it just a run, I don't know, about 3 months ago, and I went up and did a couple songs on Bella Jane and things like that. So yeah, it was cool.
That's great. That's great. And now, Can't Find My Way Home, Can't Find My Way. That's the first single video. A great choice, I think, for the fact that it's got your good friend again, Mike Tramp, on there with you. And I understand that's a song he originally written.
Yes. Well, it's one of my favorite songs, to be honest with you. It's a song that Mike was in a band called Freak of Nature. After White Lion, of course, everybody knows him for White Lion, but after White Lion, he was in a great band called Freak of Nature from Hollywood. They were formed in Hollywood, and it was Mike's band. And they did a couple albums that were unbelievably underrated albums. Well, on one of the last albums, I think it was like a demo album, they did the song called Can't Find My Way. And it's just really, it's a great song. So that was that. And me and Mike were talking, and when we were putting together this record, Mike, of course, was already slated to do background vocals on our song, probably an original at that point. But everybody says, well, why don't you do on a White Lion song? I'm like, well, I mean, that would be the obvious choice.
Yeah.
That's too easy to do a White Lion thing. Everybody would expect that. So that's when I said to Mike, I said, hey, I got an idea. Let's do Can't Find My Way. He's like, wow, brilliant. That's a great choice. And it's a cool tune because it's a song that Mike had written for his brother. So it was just really cool kind of concept, and I thought, this is great. So me and Mike decided to do it in duet style. I do a bunch of shows with him when he comes to the States. He comes every year to the States. So I play a bunch of shows with him. So for the past 4 or 5 years, we've been doing that. And he came in, and when he came in to New York, we went to the studio together and recorded it, and it came out just phenomenal. I was really happy the way we did our background vocals, our lead vocals together, and we did backgrounds and harmony, so it was kind of neat. And then, of course, I asked Carmine to play drums. Drums on it because I said Vinny on all the other ones, so I said to Carmine, since I'm on your label, why don't you do a song? He was like, absolutely. He was going to do a song anyway.
Yeah.
He had to figure out which one he was going to be on. And I go, I got the perfect one for you. And then Carmine goes, well, I got an idea. Why don't we do Tony on it, too? Tony Franklin.
Yeah. Blue Murder. There you go. Wow.
So I was like, okay, this is great. And before you know it, it just took his life on its own. I mean, I'm really happy with that song.
And, that had to be a great feeling for your friend Mike Tramp, for the simple fact, like you said, typically, the fact that you wanted to not cover a White Lion track like most people would expect you. They think, White Lion was bigger than Freak of Nature. But, even though Freak of Nature's not around today, it's got to be a great feeling for him that, that you choosing to cover one of his lesser known tracks. And, again, by you covering that track, people might then want to go and say, I want to check out Freak of Nature. What this band was all about. Mike Tramp, White Lion. I want to go see what did I miss? And I think that's another great thing about you deciding to cover that track.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And the cool part about that is, Mike's one of my dear friends, and I'll tell you, I've been in the music business for about 35 years, and he's one of the most genuine, coolest, down-to-earth guys for who he is, and as famous as he was, and still is. He's just so humble and just a great guy. I mean, I can't say enough good things about him. What
I love about a guy like Mike Tramp is the fact that he is just such a huge talent. I mean, I've got several of his solo albums, and I think they're just as good as anything he did with White Line, but like a lot of people came from '80s, he's tagged as or that's what he's known for, White Line, and people want him to be Mr. White Line all the time. But I love the fact that he continued to put out new music. He's continuing, not to necessarily live off his past, but just out there making new music and doing what he does.
Yeah, and he matured too a lot with his music. I mean, if you listen to his music now, I mean, his music's pretty deep. I mean, he's got some really deep words, lyrics, and just really good meanings behind his music. Not that he always didn't.
Yeah.
Some of that White Line stuff was so. I mean, if you really listen to the words, I mean, don't forget, we all grew up in that era of '80s where you had to have big hair, and it was about going out and having a good time, and and girls and all this stuff. That's what you wrote songs about back then.
Yeah.
But one thing I always like about White Line is, they had to do those type of songs, but they also, they wrote about current issues as well, And with Mike's a great songwriter. I mean, his really do, and people listen to this, they really should go out and pick up his catalog, his solo catalog. Some of his solo albums are just amazing, better than White Line stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're not dissing anybody here because I was as big of a White Line fan as anybody back in the day, and I still think what they did, is great in the fact that you put on any of those White Line CDs or whatever, they still stand up, they still stand the test of time. They don't sound really dated or anything, and you're right. That's part of the reason we love bands like Motley Crue, White Line, and stuff. It was because you go to their shows and it was good time music. Like you said, like when a lot of the grunge bands came, I agree with you, Jim. I didn't like some of those bands for a simple fact. When I go to a rock show, I want to be entertained. I want to be, put my fist up there. I want to stand up and shout. I want to, rock and roll all night, so to speak. I want to be entertained. I don't want to be brought down, and that's what the '80s was about, and that's why so many of those bands, and even like I said, when I just look at shots on your Facebook page, I mean, you look like the ultimate rock star, and that's the kind of music I'm into. I want to be entertained. I don't want to be brought down.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because when grunge music came about, I mean, it was cool. The music scene needed to be changed. It did. It was getting just watered down and saturated and silly at one point. And I remember I was in a pretty successful local band touring, and when I came back to our hometown, I just remember coming back and everybody's like, "Can you guys play Nirvana? Can you guys play Soundgarden?" And I'm like, "Who?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, we don't do that. We do, we do Aerosmith." They're like, "Oh, it's terrible. Play this stuff." So that's, and bands like, we survived it. We survived it. We came out through the other end, and then you see someone like Mike Tramp and all of us that are still doing it. And we came out the other end, and now I think our music has more meaning to it now.
Yeah.
Because it's more life experience is really what we're writing about these days.
And White Line was also one of those bands that really, I believe even to this day, were really always underrated. I mean, they had more talent than what people gave them. I mean, perfect example. I mean, just White Line on the surface, people thought was, the Mike Tramp and Vito Bratta show, but look at like what the other guys have done since White Line broke up. I mean, James Lomenzo, he went on to be in Megadeth. He's played with Zakk Wylde, done all kind of things. Greg D'Angelo, the drummer, he plays with Stephen Pearcy. He made a lot of money managing other bands and producing other bands. So everybody in that band really brought something to the table. So and I just think the fact that they went on to do other things just proves what was there.
Yeah, I mean, and they were one of my favorites from that era, for sure. There's no doubt about it. I think their songs were just so well written. I mean, and that to me is a successful song. It's well written. Songs that a lot of people nowadays, anyways, they if it's catchy and they sing and hum along to it, they consider that a great song. Me personally, I always came from how it's written from the core. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They did that. That was one of the bands that actually wrote great songs. So did Ronnie. Ronnie did all the Dio projects. Those songs were just well written.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can tell you anything Ronnie did. I mean, I'm just a big fan of everything he wrote lyrically. I mean, he was one of those guys, really, really great and gifted songwriter. I mean, very talented. I mean, he was a visionary. I mean, you could almost, when you listen to any of his songs, you could vision, even stuff about rainbows and dragons and all that stuff. It's very visionary. I mean, you could put the songs on, and you could even before you even seen the music video, you can come up with your own imagination what the song was about. You know, that's why I'll tell you, the very first time I heard Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell, Neon Nights, first track, right out of the gates, I was an instant fan. You know, it was almost like Ozzy Osbourne, who, you know, because to me, Ronnie really, you know, like we were discussing before, Ronnie really saved Sabbath.
Listen, I mean, Ozzy, I'm not knocking that at all.
No. They're two different singers, though.
Ozzy Black Sabbath was really cool for what it was.
Yeah.
But I think with Ronnie, it took him to the next level.
Exactly.
Made them into a real threat. That Heaven and Hell album was just, I mean, to this day, if you put Heaven and Hell album on, you would go, oh, it's just like one of the best albums of all time. So yeah, I mean, that was, you know, and what I like about with Ronnie was his songwriting, and now that I know, you know, Vinny and Viv and all those guys, the way they would write chords that, you know, most would expect the changes to go to. Well, they never did that. They would write songs that to respect the change here, go back to the chorus, but they throw a totally different part in there. And I always thought that was kind of cool. And then on this album that I did, I kind of wrote songs the same way, with that mindset that, oh, it's too predictable to go back to the chorus, back to the verse, and then, you know, solo out. So I tried changing parts in there, and I think that really worked well for this album that we're doing.
And then let me ask you, in regards to Can't Find My Way, I think another great choice as far as picking that as the first track to shoot a video for. Why did you go with that, you know, that choice to do that track for the first video?
Well, we were in Hollywood doing a Drum Wars show, which we played the Whiskey A Go-Go with Drum Wars last summer.
Wow.
And that was right around the time I got to deal with Rocker Records. So we had to do, the label wanted us to do a video for our song, you know, and I thought, well, you know what was cool is me and Mike had filmed us in the studios when we were in the studios a few months prior to that, recording Can't Find My Way.
Mm-hmm.
So we had footage of that already, and I thought that would be, it's such a powerful song. I said that would be a great song to do. So, and then we put it in the budget so that we can have it filmed at Point Dune Beach. Well, you know, you're from California.
Yeah.
You know all about that. In Malibu, where they filmed the final scene from, well, they filmed a lot of the scenes from Planet of the Apes, the original 1968 movie.
Wow.
It's one of my favorite movies. So the final scene where the Statue of Liberty is kind of buried in the sand and he drops to his knees and all you did it, you blew it up. That part, well, that big mountain that's next to the Statue of Liberty, people will look it up online. Feel free to do that. Well, that's where we filmed the video.
Wow.
We got all the permits and that to film up there on that big mountain and then on the beach, of course. So that was really a cool, special moment. If you look at, so we did a lot of filming in Hollywood and throughout Hollywood, and then we did it. I think there's even a shot of the whiskey in there.
Well, and
the rainbows in there. That's right.
And now let me ask you, Jim. Besides the footage you shot with Mike Tramp and you recording in the studio, is there any other video footage you have from recording sessions from this album?
Yeah, I mean a lot of it's, and what we plan on doing is once all the other we're shooting a video for Caught in the Middle. We're in the process of doing that right now. When I'm going to California. I'm going to be in California in August.
Wow.
We're doing a show. Yeah, we're doing there, and then we're doing Vegas. So Frank Domino is going to be in that with me. We're going to do some footage in Vegas and in California for Caught in the Middle. That's the next song we're going to do a video for. So yeah, we're going to do a whole. I'm going to try and get a lot of the songs filmed and do like a package, you know, a video package.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know if you want to talk about this, but the fact that you had the legendary Jimmy Bain on that track, when you shoot the video, any chance you may have any like video stock footage of him in the video?
Yeah, of course. You know, that's the plan.
That's very, very cool. Very, very cool. And now track 7, another great original track, "Follow Your Heart." Speaking of video guys, you got one of my favorite guitar players, Rowan Robertson, on there. Talk about getting Rowan to play on the album.
Yeah, that's a great song. First of all, it's a real DOE-esque type song, real kind of harder edged rock song. It's another one I wrote on a plane. As soon as I do a lot of writing on something. So I wrote that one on the plane as well. And when I got it home, same type of thing. I transposed it to the guitar, and then I did a demo of it and all that. And Rowan and I did we did a whole run together. He played in Drum Wars, did a bunch of shows with us.
Oh, wow.
On one of the tours. And me and him became good friends, and at the end of it, he's like, I'm going to work with you again, So I said, well, I'm in the middle of making a record, so I definitely want you to do something on it. He goes, whatever you need me to do. So when I wrote that song, I thought, this is a perfect one for Rowan. And so I sent it to Rowan, and he actually did the rhythm guitars on it. He did it all the guitar work on it, and he just destroyed it. He's one of those guys that Ronnie found. It's kind of like the Randy Rhoads syndrome,
Yeah.
Ozzy found
Randy.
Randy. Well, Ronnie found Rowan, and in my opinion, Rowan should have been a lot bigger of a name than what he is, because he's just a phenomenal player.
Yeah. And I got to share with you, Jim. I really love a Rowan Robertson story for the simple fact, like you were saying back in the day when he first. Joined Dio. I mean, Ronnie picked him out of a cow club, like over, I don't know, almost thousands and thousands of people audition. And the fact is, he's a guy that came all the way from Copenhagen, England, I think. And, when he was just, 17 years of age, could you imagine, leaving your homeland you never been away from, getting put into the spotlight like that, and you do one album with the legendary Ronnie James Dio, and like you said, the only reason that they kind of went their separate ways is Ronnie eventually went back to Black Sabbath, but even today as we speak, if he does nothing else, he's always going to be known for the Lock Up the Wolves album. But that's where people came to know him, and that's why he is doing what he is today.
I mean, if you listen to some of the songs, the guitar work on that album is, Between Two Hearts, it's just phenomenal. Between Two Hearts, people get that album. Rowan his playing is just unbelievable. He plays in Bang Tango now. He's playing with Bang Tango now, so he's doing well. He also does some stuff in Vegas. But for the most part, Rowan, when I did this tour with him, I said to Vinny, I go, God, I love playing with this guy. It's so natural. He's so easy to work with, And he's a great guy too. On top of it, so
that's the point I was going to make, because I've had a chance to interview him myself a few times, and you feel a guy that's had the opportunities he has, might have a huge ego or whatever, but I've always found him to be nothing but really friendly and down to earth, and that's why I'm glad to see that he's getting a chance to appear on your album, and that he's Bang Tango and doing what he's doing these days.
Yeah, no, all the best of luck to him, and I'm going to work with him again. He's going to end up doing. We already got him figured out to do a couple more of those Drum Wars shows, so I'll be working with him again soon. He's just a great talent, so.
And then, another great track I love, Shut Your Mouth. It's got just a greatly written song, got a lot of great hooks in it. So, talk a little bit about that. And I was curious why you chose to put it towards the end of the album.
Yeah, well, I didn't choose that. The record company did all that.
Okay.
Where to place the album, but place the songs. On the album. And really, the producer Steve did that.
Okay.
Where it got placed to was his decision. But yeah, when I wrote that song, it was a song that it's really about how really tough it is in the music business, and the people that they'll look you right in the face in the music business and say, "Yeah, we're gonna make you a star. You're gonna get it. You got this. And that's happened throughout my whole career, right? And people that you kind of put trust into the music business, they always let you down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless there's money to be made, that's really all that's about. So that's what that song's really about. And it's just kind of a cool modern feel to it. It's got a real cool modern guitar riff to it. Vinny put an amazing drum beat to it. Kind of real Zeppelin style sounding drums to it. So I'm really happy with that song. That's a sleeper song on the record. I think a lot of people are going to go, wow. A lot of people have the record told me what a great song that is.
Yeah, because I could also see that being released as a single or something, because it's just got such great lyrics, just great hooks, and then let's see, the next track on the album I believe is "Turn It Around," which it says here it features a guitar whiz Martin Slot from a band called Push. I guess he's Danish. I imagine touring around the world, you get a chance to be exposed to some music that the rest of us aren't. So talk a little bit how you discovered him.
Well, the band Push is real big in Europe. They were really big. Actually, Mike Tramp has to sing with them, so you know you guys might want to look that up. So they were a band called Push right out of Denmark, right where Mike's from. He's from Denmark.
Yeah.
Martin's from Denmark. So we did it, you know, in one of my tours with Drum Wars. We did a show in Montana, way out in the middle of nowhere, and it was. I didn't know what to expect. You know, we took like a private plane in there. It was pretty wild, and we were in like the Badlands of Montana. You know, where the dinosaurs were. And all
Yeah.
But it's a place that most people don't get to go to, right?
Yeah.
You know, in all my years, I would have never thought I'd be in the middle of the Badlands, right? But I'm so glad I got that opportunity to do it. It was cool. We went to where like you can see dinosaur bones and things like that.
Yeah.
And when you really go there, it really looks like you're back in, dinosaur times. It's incredible.
Wow.
And so we did that show, and the whole town came out, and it was a big sold out show, and we got to play in the show, and then afterwards we were signing autographs and all that cool stuff. And this real cool looking dude comes walking up to me, and he goes, he had this thick Danish accent, and he came up and he goes, I play guitar too. And I go, oh, that's cool, you meet a lot of people, when you're out on tour.
Yeah.
And so me and him got to talking, and he knew Mike Tramp very well, and then he said I was in a band called Push, and I said I've heard of that band. Mike actually, he goes, yeah.
Wow.
So it's such a big world and such a
small world at the same time, yeah.
And then me and him just became really friends. He's like, I'd love to work with you sometime. I said, well, give me your number. And then we exchanged numbers and all the emails and all that cool stuff that you do. And we just been staying in contact together. And when the record came up, he asked me how the record was coming along. I said, well, I got a song for it if you're interested. I sent it to him, and he did such an amazing job on this song. So Martin did a great job, and he's a great player.
And so I imagine being on the opposite sides of the world that this is something that you're able to just send him a track, and he'd send you what he did, and you kind of pieced it together.
That's how we did that one, yeah. He just sent me the licks, and we put it into the format.
Yeah.
But we talked, we talked back and forth about what I was looking for, and he did a great job.
What you gotta love about that is the fact that two great musicians here creating original music, and the thing is, you don't even have to be in the same room these days to even be able to come up with such a great track.
You don't, but you do.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that. It's this listens back to those years with Aerosmith Rocks when you listen to how raw and you hear the mistakes in there, and you go, oh, that was a bad quarter. He sang that note a little bit off key. But then you go, how cool was that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I kind of miss making live records like that. And then you listen to like the Drum Wars live album that we did. It's just so raw and live. I love it. There's a lot of passion in that album. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a double-edged sword. Yeah, can you send files and all that stuff? Nowadays, it's a lot easier to record with people around the world, but there is still nothing like recording in the same room with them.
Oh, I agree with you, because a lot of the bands that we both grew up on, I remember getting those albums, and you can really, if you're a musician, you can tell the difference when a band's in a room together and they recorded it live versus everybody kind of mailing it in. But it like you said, both things have their appeal, I guess, or their pros and cons. Yeah. And now the next track is Miss Me. Great power ballad here, and I understand you got your Hair Nation drummer Colleen on here. So what was it like having her be part of this project?
Well, she's my fiance.
So, okay. Wow.
She completely supports me in everything I do. I mean, all the tours I bring her with me, and the Appice Brothers love her too. They bring her on. We bring her out on tour with us. It's such a great thing. We became family, right?
Wow.
So when I did the record, of course Vinny pretty much played on the whole album, But Vinny actually said to me the one time, he said, "You get her playing the song?" I said, "Absolutely, right." And then when I wrote the song "Miss Me," it just, she had such a great feel for, what I was looking for. Like all the songs, for example, that I demoed, I would have her play along to them, obviously, when I wrote them, and then I would put them onto a drum machine and we'd make a demo of it.
Yeah.
And she did such a great job on it when I was writing this song. And I said, this is the one they're playing on. So I think she did a phenomenal job on it.
And let me ask you, working on a project like this, like you guys are used to working together in Hair Nation, obviously. Hair Nation, like we said, though, you're doing other people's music. So what's it like, to have her in the studio and you really really get an opportunity to really create something original?
Well, we recorded. I've recorded a lot with her over the years in the studio. I mean, she's done a lot of studio work with me.
Oh, okay.
So, so she knows exactly what I'm looking for. But this is a little bit more special because this is on a major label. It's got to be up on, top of the line. So she went in there, one take, and just destroyed it. I mean, just one take, knocked it down.
Yeah, wow.
Completely blown away how great she did in the studios. Just going in there live, and just literally, we ran through the song one time, and I said, I got everything I need. She goes, well, I'm just warming up. Let me try a few more takes. I'm good. I got everything. Everything I need. I'm good. She's like, come on. I was just starting to have fun. I go, I got everything.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason, Jim, this album as a whole works because, you could have gone one way and hired a bunch of, studio musicians that are equally as talented, but that you never played with before, but or just a bunch of hired guns. Or you could have taken the approach you did, which is, let me get some of my friends on here, people that I'm friends with, that I've performed with before, or that I know. And I think that really is coming out on all the tracks. The fact that you have a relation with the people that guest on your album.
Well, it is. I mean, it didn't start off that way. Initially, I was starting off where, okay, well, I'm just going to do like I did in the last album, get, the same group of musicians and just make the album so it all sounds consistent. The album's, sounds exactly like one. And then a lot of my friends were like, hey, you're going to make a new album. If you need me to help you, let me know. If you need me to get on that. It just became, that's kind of how it all developed. Before you know it, it was all my friends throughout the music business are pretty much on the record. The one thing I do want to say on that song, Miss Me, I got one of my favorite guitar players, Dave Constantino. He was in a virtually unknown band called Talus. They were, it's Billy Sheehan. Everybody knows who Billy Sheehan is. Well, he was in a band here from my hometown, Buffalo, New York, called Talus.
Yeah, pre David Lee Roth, but yeah, I heard people may know simply like you said, Billy Sheehan, Talus.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know of that. They might know of it, but not really know of it.
Yeah.
But it was pre David Lee Roth era, pre UFO, David Lee Roth era. Dave Constantino, who is probably one of the most underrated guitar players ever. This guy is just a monster on guitar, and one of my favorite guitar players. So he's a good friend of mine. So again, when I was doing this, I made sure that he did a phenomenal solo on that song. So.
And then on track 11, the whole world is going to know. That's a Talus track too, right?
Yeah, I mean, Talus originally did that song, but they only did it on a demo. It was a demo, Talus demo, very unheard Talus demo, unreleased. Phil Narrow was in that version of Talus at the time. Was also a really good friend of mine, and he's produced my last record along with Steve. So Phil's a really good friend of mine, and he was on that demo of The Whole World's Gonna Know. Billy later on did record that with Mr. Big, that song, but we kind of stayed true to the Talus version of it. And it came out really cool. We did that as a bonus track. Only reason we did that song is there was a Talus tribute album that I was on, and I did that for the Talus tribute album, and the album never got released, or nothing ever came of it. They couldn't get the funding or something to get this album released. So I had the song all recorded and ready to go, and I figured, you know what, we have to do, every time we do overseas distribution, we have to give them a couple bonus tracks.
Yeah.
My last album, I did a couple bonus tracks, and then this album, I said, well, you know what, that's going to be one of the bonus tracks. That came out really cool.
Yeah, I gotta say, and I'm glad that you also have Phil Nero on the album as well, because he's another guy. For the life of me, I never understood why he wasn't, bigger over here in the U.S. than he is. He's a little bigger in Canada where he's from, but outside of Tallis, I know he recorded some demos and wrote some stuff with also with Peter Criss and Mark St. John. So I'm glad he gets a chance to kind of shine on this album as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's played with Coney Hatch. I mean, he's played with Kim Mitchell,
Yeah.
Lee Aaron, Phil's on all that stuff. He's done a lot of stuff. He just recently did a thing with Julian Lennon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so check all that out. But Phil's one of those guys, I've known Phil. I've known Phil for over 30 years.
Yeah.
And I've, worked with Phil for about 32 years, so.
Wow.
A lot of projects. I'm actually going to be singing background vocals on. He's got a new album coming out too. I'm going to be doing background vocals on that now.
Wow.
He did a lot of background vocals on this one. I'm doing background on his new album. So, but that being said, he's one of those guys that definitely should have been bigger than he is. He's big in Canada.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like I said, he's worked with Kim Mitchell. He's a big Canadian guy. A lot of big Canadian acts. Coney Hatch, he was in that band. He toured with them. So, he's
done pretty well, yeah. Back home in Canada. Now let me ask you. You bring up he sang a lot of the background vocals. That's another kind of thing from the 70s, 80s I really loved. A lot of bands these days. I mean, if you look at bands like Rat or even Van Halen, Michael Anthony, he was like the background sound of those classic Van Halen albums. Talk a little bit about your decision to really focus on the background vocals on some of the songs throughout the album.
Well, I mean, harmonies are a big part of my style of music that I write.
Yeah.
When I write a song, I don't just write it, do a vocal, and go, okay, good. When I write a song, even through the chords, I'm thinking of how is it going to harmonize, how am I going to progression down to a good harmony into the lead vocal. So I'm very into writing songs that have great big vocals, obviously.
Yeah.
And that's important to me, to make sure that I have really strong harmonies. I think some of the best music throughout the 70s and 80s had the big cool harmonies, and Def Leppard always had those really cool chord changes, key changes throughout. Def Leppard would actually change key right in the middle of the chorus. And I always thought, I know Mutt did it. I know Mutt produced it, and that was Mutt's idea. But Joe still had to sing it, right?
Yeah.
So I always thought that was really cool, and I thought, that's how a good song should be.
Yeah.
So you'll hear a lot of that style.
Yeah.
In my songs, you'll hear a lot of key changes where you go, wow, that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Unexpected.
Yeah. Another example where I think you got Phil Nero doing that on the album is on the final track, which is a great cover of the Kiss tune, Magic Touch, which I'm a huge Kiss fan. I always love that track. I never really thought it got the recognition it should have back in the day, but you do a great cover, I got to tell you, Jim, for a simple fact that it sounds a lot like the original, but it's not like a carbon copy. I really think you did a great job of making it really your own, if you know what I mean.
Well, thank you. I mean, that's kind of the idea, was what it was. I mean, I was asked to do The World Without Heroes, or World with Heroes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I love that.
World with Heroes. Miss LaFon did a great job gathering some pretty big names throughout the music industry to do a tribute CD for a great cancer cure.
Yeah.
And so he gathered all these, a lot of my friends, like, let's see, like Phil Lewis is on there. There's a lot of pretty big name guys on there.
Yeah.
And so he asked me to do it, and I was honored to do it. And I thought, well, what song would be a great Kiss song to do? And I always thought Magic Touch was such a great song, and that album was on the Dynasty album, which was, a lot of people don't know anything of that album except I Was Made for Loving.
There you go. Yeah.
It was a disco-y type of song, but the rest of the album was heavy metal, hard rock.
Yeah.
And that was the weird part about that whole album. The album was heavy, but they had one big disco song on it. So I thought, well, Magic Touch would be a great one to cover. I called up Vinny. I said, look, I'm doing this tribute song for this great cause. Would you be interested in playing? He just said, absolutely. So I got Vinny to play, and then I called Phil and Steve. And I got Stan Music from, he was in Honeymoon Suite, and Jeff Who, Sass Jordan, Killer Dwarfs,
wow.
Tom Cochran. I mean, he's been around for a lot of big things. So I got Stan to do bass on it, and of course Steve and Phil. So we did it in the studio, that's one we did in the studio together.
Oh, wow.
You know? Yeah, so when we did it together, I was just in there kind of noodling around with the vocals, and I said, well, you know what, I'm not going to try and sound like Paul Stanley, because I don't.
Yeah, yeah.
Paul's a pretty original singer. No one really sounds like Paul Stanley. He's got his own thing. I'm going to do my own thing. And, even that slow part in the middle, I changed it. I didn't use the falsetto. I just kind of sang it straight through. I'm glad I made that decision, rather than trying to just mimic a Kiss song.
Yeah.
Make it your own, right?
And I love it for the simple fact that it's a great choice as far as a song to cover, and also the fact that while you may not necessarily sound like a carbon copy of Paul Stanley, it's another great example. You got a song where it really fits your voice, Jim.
Yeah. Paul Stanley's obviously a big influence on me too.
Yeah.
I always thought Paul was the ultimate rock star. I mean, just his swagger was cool,
Yeah, I mean, but, I always love when you hear the guy talk in interviews, like just even the things he comes up with, his answers. Like he has these one-liners that you're like, man, where did he pull that out of his head?
He's an ultimate rock star. I mean, that's how a rock star should be. He's that guy. But so yeah, I'm glad that was another reason why we put that on, because we needed another song for a bonus track. I mean, we could have just did one bonus track, but I said that came out really cool. Let's throw that on there as well.
And the great thing about doing that is while many fans like myself have heard of this, World Without Heroes tribute CD or World with Heroes tribute CD. I haven't actually had a chance to get a copy myself in my hand. So for many people like that, it's a great opportunity. Okay, not only are we going to get a great new studio album from Jim Crean, but we get these great bonus tunes that we might not get a chance to hear otherwise.
That is true. I know that World with Heroes CD, I think it was very limited on the CD, the actual hard copy CD. I know you still get the download, but I think the hard copy CD, they sold those out. They sold out of those really fast.
Yeah, and
I'll really hard to find.
Yeah, I'll tell you, actually, since I'm interviewing you last week for our Destroyer 40, I reached out to Mitch, and I'm going to interview and talk a little bit about the CD you were on, so people have a chance to find out more about that. But the interesting thing about that CD too, besides having all these great artists on there, is as a result of that CD coming out, some of the players on there, Todd Howarth and John Reagan, who were in Fraley's Comet with Ace Frehley, as a result of that, they've reunited. They formed a new band called 4x8. They just put out their debut album. So, I mean, look at what a great thing has come out of. This guy just put out a great tribute CD for a great cause to raise money for cancer.
Yeah, it was great. I was really happy to be a part of it. So, Mitch does. He's like you. He works really hard at what he does.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And you can see that. You can see that in just the time and effort he took to putting who he got on the album and just making it what it became, and you can see all the hard work that went into that. And I got to ask you, Jim, before we let you go. Now fans are going to probably hope that you go out there live and promote the CD. What are the chances of that? And if you do, have you thought about putting a band together, or would you probably just get the local musicians from the local areas where you'd be playing?
Well, I mean, that's what we do with the Drum Wars. We did that. We used to do that with the Drum Wars, and it worked. But I think it's people want to see a nice tight
band. Yeah.
In the town, and that's kind of what Drum Wars is doing now. We're just we're not even called anymore. We're called the Appice Brothers, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but so no, I'm gonna probably put together a touring band and just actually bring the whole band city to city and do that. That's the right way to do it.
Well, once again, Jim, I've really enjoyed talking to you today. Before I let you go, is there anything else you'd like to say to all your fans out there listening to this?
No, just pick up the record and I think you're really going to enjoy it.
And once again, everybody, we've been talking with my good friend Jim Crean, and this is for Ben in review, talking about his album Insatiable. I really urge you guys all to go out there and buy it if you're a fan of 70s or 80s, style rock. It's just the album you want to get, and congratulations with everything, Jim, and we'll be checking out you on tour hopefully when you come to town soon.
Thanks, Jay.
Take care, my friend. Bye-bye.